Yeah, welcome to all y'all FASA devs here to the Shadowrun AMA.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Thank you guys for jumping on and hanging out with us today. So, my name's Sinful. I was trying to make sure I got my audio working and technical difficulties, but I'm here now, and we'll just let a couple of people start to trickle in a little bit, and then we'll get started. I love seeing a lot of beautiful faces here. So
You're in the wrong place.
And ours.
Right.
I don't know. Fulton. Bill, what's the deal?
I mean,
are you like going to be like the lead in the new Fantastic Four movie? What the
He
fuck?
is.
Look
He
at
is
you.
pretty sexy.
What are you talking about?
Oh, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Look at you. You got all the Gray Reed Richards shit going on?
Chiseled
Dude,
chin.
I started going great at 17.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
just went slow.
Try, so.
Better that than this.
We have to compensate.
Yeah, we got Derek to look at, so.
So to kill a little time while we sort of wait for people to come on in here, why don't we sort of go around the room and just do a little intro? So I'll kind of call you out in order, just depending on what order you're on my screen. But introduce, tell us your name, tell us what your title was at FASA back in the day, your bot name, and then what you're up to now, what studio you're at, what game you're working on, what title you have. So let's start with Mr. Steve Heinen.
Hey, yo, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
hey.
Yeah,
Dr. Heinen.
thank you. I'm Steve Heinen. I was hired on at FASA as an environment artist and eventually became lead environment artist. Mike Porter and myself at one point were both lead environment artists. Had a group of people working on the environments. In general, the game designers would create the levels and then pass it off to the environment artist to beautify them. There's also a texture group and there was a lighting group separate from the environment team. My bot name is Dr. Heinen, and what I'm currently working on is a Quest game called Metal Multiball. I'm now a developer that create my own game, so if you have a Quest, please play my game.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm next in my own little grid thing here, so I'll go next. My name is David Johnson. I go by DJ. I was one of the effects artists on Shadowrun. I did a lot of the effects on it. We had a couple other guys working on some too. My bot name's Undertone, and after that I went to work on the Halo games for a bit. I was the head of effects for the Call of Duty games for a decade, and now I've started my own effects specialist studio called Undertone Effects. So if you guys need effects for your games, hit us up. We got a few guys. Mr. Bill Fulton.
Bill Fulton, and I was the matchmaking and social design person, as well as the UI design. This was the first game I worked on, so pretty happy about that.
Awesome.
What are you doing now?
Oh, I'm at Insomniac Games as a director of online services.
Hell yeah, pretty sweet. Mr. Abzug.
I'm David Abzug. My call sign's Wicked. I started at FASA running the cockpits that are behind Sage, actually. But then I started as a game designer at FASA, except on Shadowrun, once the campaign got cut, I was community manager. So right now, I run the game design program at Bradley University. So if you want to get a degree, I know where you can go.
I'm sure we're going to get a lot of questions about that campaign.
Yeah.
No doubt, Michael T.
Yeah. Somebody might have a build of it somewhere. We should mention too that we prototyped on with Halo and the troll hats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Derek's
The big heads.
We can talk about
we
that.
can talk about that later.
Mr. Derek Carroll.
Who, me? Yeah, so I went by Mantis in those days. My credits in the game I'm still mad about that. I'm credited as like core design or something. I don't know. It's weird. So yeah, I was actually the webmaster at FASA Interactive at one point in the 90s, and then got hired to be a game designer and did a billion mech games before Shadowrun, and then now I'm at Bungie, did the multiplayer for Halo Reach, the last Halo Bungie did, and some Destiny and Destiny 2 stuff, and there's still That content machine is cranking on into the night forever.
Aren't
Um,
aren't you waiting
It
for
is
your
your
2 years
destiny.
to be up or something?
What's that?
So aren't you waiting for your 2 years to be
About that
up so
stream.
you can punch?
That's awesome.
Years.
Hmm.
Sony bought Bungie, and so I'm doing okay. But yeah, I've been at Bungie for 15 years now, which
Damn.
is really
Wow.
weird.
It's a lifetime.
Really weird.
Almost as long as FASA.
I think I don't know how long
Longer.
I was at I was at Microsoft for only like 7 years, so
Mm.
anyway, let's move on to the next person.
All right, Mr. Sage.
I have no idea what my title was on Shadowrun. I did a bunch of work on abilities and weapons. I came in not at the very beginning, but pretty close to when they were prototyping. I had finished Crimson Skies. I started with a couple of these guys in '93 in San Diego at the Virtual World site. Went to Chicago, then got pulled to Seattle when they bought FASA. Yeah, made video games for 25 years. Did a long stint at FASA, did a long stint at Bungie. Did some time at Probably Monsters, so I did, same as pretty similar to Derek. Yeah. Now my wife and I just roll around in our van and go to national parks. So I live in a van down by the river.
Fuck yeah.
Rad. I love it.
That is living the dream, man.
Fuck yeah. Mr. J.M. Albertson.
Hi. So I believe my bot name was Von Shroom. It's a long time ago. I was the engine architect, probably wrote most of the systems underpinning the game. I didn't actually write the game code itself, but I was responsible for it running fast and not crashing. That was my 2 big jobs. Let's see. I'm retired now, so I'm not hawking anything. Not making use of this free advertising space. But yeah, I've been with FASA for 15 years when it finally went under. So it was a great run to be there, and I'm glad to see everybody.
Wait. What did you do before FASA, JM?
I was a defense guy who made nuclear missile. I was a nuclear missile engineer, rocket engineer.
There you go.
So, but this was more fun.
No
and
big
they
deal.
let me test it.
And JM also was involved in Martian football and some of the virtual world games, right?
Yes, if we want to go into the 2 games that were both my greatest loves and the biggest disappointments of my life, Red Planet and Shadowrun. There you go. Good company though.
All right. Mr. Porter.
Okay, well, I'm Mike Porter. I have no idea what my bot name was. I don't think I had one. I was well known at FASA for like sticking a stick into hornets' nests and rattling them around a little bit. So I'm sure everybody was super happy to have me there. Did some lead environment art, and then I went and worked at Bungie for a little bit to help finish up Halo 3. And then I moved to New Zealand to start a bachelor's program. So New Zealand's first bachelor's program for game development. And currently I am a master's thesis advisor at SMU Guildhall for level design, which there's no longer level designers anymore. It's mostly like just designers, but that was the MIT. That's how they got it accredited. So there you go.
All right. Mr. Mitch Gilman.
Hey, I'm Mitch. I was the studio manager of FASA. And I don't think they named a bot HR violation, but that's my gamer tag.
I think they did.
That's my second gamer tag because Xbox Live asked me to change my first gamer tag.
Which was also an HR violation after.
No.
Yeah.
It was fine.
It was fine. All right.
Bad
Then it was
touch?
bad touch. Yeah.
Bad touch.
Same thing.
They still asked me to change it. Anyway, let's see. After FASA, I ran Xbox Live Arcade at Microsoft for a while. Then I opened another studio, first party studio at Microsoft doing games for Xbox Live Arcade. And then my old buddy Jordan and I opened a company called Hairbrain Schemes. That was a dozen years ago. And from there, I made 3 Shadowrun RPGs, BattleTech game, and yeah, I got something to hawk. I got a game coming out in October called The Lamplighters League in the Tower at the End of the World, and when that one comes out, I'm following JM into the horizon and seeing what's next.
And
There's,
I'm throwing sage to a van down by the river.
Maybe
Pretty
so.
sweet. I can recommend it.
Maybe so. I'll walk the earth like Kane from Kung Fu.
Awesome. And Lamplighters looks really killer.
Yeah,
cool.
Been following it,
looks
looks rad.
amazing.
Thank you. It's fun. It's really fun. It's probably the best game, certainly Harebrained Schemes ever made.
And
Gameplay wise.
not to jump the gun, what was Jordan the one who created Shadowrun to begin with?
He's known as the creator, yeah. Of course, it takes a team. But yeah, he's credited as certainly one of the creators, one of 3.
Right on. Mr. Michael T.
Oh, hi, Michael.
EXT.
Yay. Yeah, I was a multiplayer tester. It was my second job actually working at FASA after the first Call of Duty. And then so I was a multiplayer tester there. And then after Shadowrun, ended up playing with Final Boss and SDK, playing tournaments, Shadowrun tournaments at MLG. We won, I think, 2 championships. Did that for a bit, and then worked on, of course, like Bungie. Like it kind of seems like the natural progression is like people went from Microsoft to another Microsoft studio, right? So I worked at Bungie as well on Reach, and then on Forza 3 and ton of other Microsoft titles. Nowadays, I have a studio outsourcing studio called Master Brush, and then we also make 3D worlds for LED walls for the film industry called halogen.io. So we do that. In the last 6 years, I've lived in 16 or 17 different countries. So currently streaming out of Vietnam right now.
Nice.
Awesome.
What time is it there?
It is 9 a.m., 9:14 a.m.
Are you still in touch with Baby Giraffe?
With who?
Paul.
Oh yeah, I am. Actually, he's a designer, content designer in Finland right now. I talked to him the other day, like last month.
Who's that? Paul Eric?
Oh, you're talking about Paul. Sorry, I thought you meant Paul. Yeah, Paul. I've talked to him many times actually. We were gonna create that studio for NetEase together. I was part of the 3, and then he ended up not working for me because they wanted me to like get out of Master Brush and all that stuff. But yeah, no, he's in Spain now. So
yeah,
Barcelona.
Yeah, he and I tipped a few at GDC.
Cool.
Nice.
Awesome. All right, Mr. Dan.
Yeah, hi folks. It's really great to see all the familiar faces. Really happy to be here. My name is Dan Landek. I started off as one of the lap man's testers on Shadowrun, cutting my teeth with Mr. EXT doo, and that's our little inside joke. And we had a blast making this game. It's seriously a treasure of my life. I'll never take it back. And then ever since then, I moved on to a studio called PopCap Games, and we made games like Bejeweled and Plants vs. Zombies. I was on the dev team for that, and then I moved back over to Microsoft after about 4 years doing that, and then I've been there as a program manager pretty much since 2013. No, 2010. So this will be my 13th year back at Microsoft Game Studios. And recently I worked on a game called Halo Infinite and in conjunction with 343. And I've been focusing on publishing and now switching over to accessibility, which I have to give a tip of the hat to Bill Fulton, because working for him, running the play testing studio at Millennium, and doing all the accessibility and UI UX stuff really sparked my interest. it allowed me to grow and work on projects like rehabbing kids at the University of Washington with cerebral palsy using a game called Peggle, and then also working on projects for the Department of Defense, which I can't divulge, but it took me around the country, took me around giving symposiums, and I'm just so happy to be here and seeing all my friends. Oh, and by the by, DJ Steve and I, we used to play in a band, Shadowrun, and Steve and I were just talking about making some kind of content for his metal multi-ball. So I'd be thrilled. I'd be thrilled to be a part of that. And again, it's so good seeing you guys. And I know I've worked with Jerry, who's on the call, for a little bit on Gears and on the publishing side, where he was on the developer side. So yeah, it's just great to see you all. And thanks for having me.
Awesome. Mr. Jerry Edsel.
Hey, is my microphone working finally?
Yeah.
Sure it is.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, it's great seeing everybody. Hi.
Hi,
All the Shadowrun fans out there, I can't believe there's people that love this game 15 years later? How many
Right?
was it?
I mean, besides us,
That's like super awesome because
Best
man,
game
that
ever
was
made.
it was a hard game to make. It was fun. It was like probably the most fun game to make too, but it's so great that people are still interested. So, thanks everyone. I'm Jerry Etzel. I was the gameplay engineering lead on Shadowrun. I did a lot of everything. I think gameplay leads maybe scopes me in a little more than I did a lot of stuff. Like teleport. Teleport was my favorite. Who likes teleport?
Was that you?
That was you.
I wrote the engineering for it. I think it was Derek that pitched it. But anyway.
I really wanted you to be able to teleport out of the world and die.
Really?
Or into the world. That was in Blood Gulch, when the first prototype, you could try to teleport into the base and just splat yourself, right? Like if you fucked up. Yeah. Derek argued that for a long time.
So I started at the Virtual World FASA group in '94 when I was 20 years old as an intern for JM, who was the hardest and best boss ever. And then continued to work until FASA shut down. One of the last people out of the building, and went to ship a little game, Space Marine, up in Canada, following my snowboarding and mountain biking dreams up to the Great North. And then eventually landed back at Microsoft and shipped Gears 4 and 5.
Hell yeah. Space Marine is one of my other favorite games too. That one's so rad.
Right on. Great.
We have $5 Bagel here, who I recognize as a bot, but I'm not sure who that is.
Wasn't $10 Bagel?
Is it? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Is that?
I think it was $10 Bagel.
Are you here, $10 Bagel? You're muted if you are. We have no video.
It's like a $2 bagel.
I'm here. I'm just an admin at the. I'm an imposter, guys.
Okay, got it.
Imposter.
All right. Well, let's hand it over to the Shadowrun community. Ask us fucking anything.
Shadowrun community. 2 plus a bot. What's the bot? What question does the bot have?
There's about 3,000 people in the Discord right now. So that's
wow.
Are there really?
Oh wait,
two of them are here.
The three
Yeah.
of us.
not at this moment.
They're streaming this.
Numbers of it.
Yeah.
Mitch is like, oh shit.
Oh, I thought this is complete bullshit. There were 3 people watching this. Oh, really? There's actually people
three
here?
people watching.
Oh,
no way. Mitch loves
to
you,
play.
man. Mitch loves you.
Thanks. Still does. Straight
Nobody's
up.
watching
Yeah,
this, but
sorry.
this is going.
I'm still
on the
not
record.
sorry.
All right, Emerge Serious. Hit us. What do you got?
Welcome everybody to the Shadowrun FASA Studios Community AMA.
Hey, real quick, it's FASA. Rhymes with
That's
FASA.
right.
Nobody say FASA. You gotta
FASA.
stop.
Yeah. If you're gonna be real fans, do it right.
FASA.
Do it right.
I still mess it up.
So, Simple, Cyrus, Bagel here. We all just want to give a big thank you to everybody that's tuning in, as well as a big thank you to all of the FASA developers who are joining us this evening.
That's for correcting your
Walked.
behavior. Thanks.
So we'll be spending the next little bit, kind of after we've done some introductions of some of the members, what your guys' roles were. But we'll then be getting to some questions that have been submitted by the community and just going through there. We have 3 different streams going on. I'm streaming to YouTube, Cyrus is streaming to Twitch, and then Bagel is streaming into the Discord itself. So we'll all be getting even more questions possibly during this AMA that we may add to the list. So
I'm streaming it from my channel too.
And DJ is streaming to his Twitch as well. Kind of the first thing that we had kind of on the docket was just more of a general question to everybody to kind of break the ice a little bit, is kind of what's it like seeing everybody all in one place again after all of 16 years?
We all got
nostalgia.
There's a lot more beards than there used to be.
It's a lot more gray than there used to be.
Yeah, the migration from top to bottom has been pretty impressive.
Well, we
Mike
didn't.
Porter's still got
I mean,
hair.
when the studio closed, it's not like we stopped seeing each other because we were.
Right.
I mean, we all got transplanted, or a large majority of us got transplanted from Chicago. So, like, we knew each other. We kept in touch for years. I think I saw Mitch, I don't know, last year for sure.
Oh, it was just a couple of months ago, right?
It seems so.
I don't know. What is time, man? I don't understand. It's a flat circle.
The game development community in Seattle is really tight knit. Usually, you just know everybody who works on anything in Seattle. So we were all there and seeing each other on and off throughout the years.
Incestuous.
Dev drink ups where that everyone would go to get beer together. Is that still happening?
Not since Joe died, I don't think, but maybe. I don't know.
Well, Derek's got a bus now. Couldn't we all get on the bus?
Party bus.
Party bus.
And
do that once.
Pour one out for,
Please don't put a poll on the party bus, Derek.
for those that don't know, one of the FASA devs passed away a while back, Joe Waters. He was one of the engineers on the project. He was a beloved human being, fucking amazing guy.
Love Joe.
He is to this day missed.
Yep. Make a choice, everybody.
He wrote your dedicated servers.
Every picture you saw of him, he had two middle fingers for every person he met. It's fantastic.
Gun Fu.
Yeah,
Gun Fu.
Rest in peace, Gun Fu.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was a somber moment, but I'll just never forget, especially moments like where Joe or Jerry would come in and yell at me for writing horrible bugs. And I was just, like I said, I was just cutting my teeth. So
get good.
And I go into their office. I'm like, man, what can I do? What can I do? Being good sports, they shepherded me through that. And with the tutelage of also, I got to say, my cohort, Michael T., who was one of my best guys, man, just
great working with
learning and soaking it all in,
Well,
becoming
FASA
a
was
filter,
definitely-
not necessarily a sponge. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, FASA was definitely old school game development. I mean, it was really tight as a group and felt like a family. But
Yeah.
do not show weakness or jam, or someone else will crush you.
And whatever you do, don't play diplomacy.
Oh no, diplomacy is
wrong
important.
lesson.
Not at work.
That's the wrong lesson.
The best, and I don't know if you guys can agree or disagree, but the best time of the day for me was game on.
Yeah.
Andy Lucky.
Let's go.
5 o'clock
So
at night, we'd scream game on and all head to the multiplayer labs.
The hallways would just
Yeah.
we would just
So
How are all of y'all
Game
getting that
on.
wrong? How are all of y'all getting that wrong? Just hey, come on,
Hey, come on.
game on.
game
That's right.
on, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So at the end of the day, just to explain this for everybody, at the end of the day, we would all, as developers, get together and play the game together.
That
it
was
was
not
every
the end
day.
of the day.
That was not the
That
end
was
of
the,
the
that
day.
was the
But it
middle of
wasn't
the
the
day,
end of the
Michael
day.
T. We
Was
stayed
that
until 2 a.m. most nights.
Wasn't it
Did
twice
we
a day?
ever not yell at each other either?
And there was a mad rush in that little tiny hallway to get into the game room, and we're pushing each other out of the way to get in there.
I remember too, you were bummed. Like if you ran there and you got beat and all the seats were taken, it was like, oh fuck.
Right. So
I was
that-
sad.
But then we got a more efficient and crueler system, which is we nominated 2 of the best players, usually T and Webster, to pick teams, and then it got super middle school. It's like, oh crap, I didn't get picked
Man,
again.
Matt, yeah, it
And
was
really,
amazing.
16th? Yeah, well,
I
we
think
have
you're forgetting
sick
about the
today, so you're
science.
on.
Oh, the science.
The science. We
The
had our
true
true
skill
skill
stuff?
spreadsheet.
We should give context that like early on, before as the engine was being developed, we were still playing this in basically Halo 1 multiplayer split screen. So there were 2 boxes. There was only 8 positions early in the early prototype, right? So that's when I remember people running and knocking each other over, right? It was to try to get to one of those 8 positions at either end of the hallway. When it was still, basically Master Chief with a patrol hat on or an elf hat or whatever and scaled up, and then all the abilities, right? Like running. That was that was good times.
It was all the way to the end. I mean, when we were in the last shipping crunch, and you know how many long hours and how tedious sometimes testing is. Still, when Game On came, people were running for the spots, and that was that had been like 10 years that I had missed that since like Red Planet, where we had people running to go in the pods. It was like we were just making games, and we'd never had that excitement. But with Shadowrun, we had that excitement back, which was why it was, in a sense, so disappointing when they yanked all the marketing dollars and the various decisions that happened that doomed Shadowrun at its time. It was still a great game.
Xbox for Windows? Mitch, as the producer?
Panorama.
You want to tell that story?
Executive producer, bitch. What were you saying? I'm sorry. What about games for Windows? What about games for Windows?
Well, that's
But
why
to go
we
back
cut
to
the
Game On
single
for a
player.
second. To go back to Game, I honestly think it was stuff like Game On that made the game as tight as it was. Just the playing it every day and then talking about it and then playing it and talking about it and then playing it over and over and over again is what gave you all the, I'm going to teleport through the wall with my RV and I've got the katana and I'm going to be able to do this and I'm going to be able to do that. That's what brought that about.
It's kind of a shame that like the community didn't get to kind of experience that. It was a little bit of our own little internal meta. We'd have like this really great balance, and we'd throw something else in, and we'd all mess it up, and then we'd go retune it, and we'd throw another, and then we cut something like we had a grapple hook that was really cool that we cut.
It was not cool, Jerry.
Fucking grapple.
It was not.
Wait. The grapple hook is real?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us a little about that.
Well, it was a grapple hook. It was pretty.
Right.
What was that? What was that game? The Japanese game around that same time.
Spider-Man.
No, it was not Spider-Man. It was basically that. Like you shot a grapple out. It went, however, it's 25 meters or something, probably less.
Yeah.
And then when you got to the end, it would give you a little pop, and you'd end up on the top of a ledge, and it felt really cool. And I don't know, it just broke the game.
We cut it because we could never figure out a good way to stop you from using it to go down. Right? It always felt like garbage, and you could just escape to the ground. You'd basically grapple to below, and so we tried to you can't use it if if you're below 90 degrees or straight out. And I mean, we tried a lot of different stuff, and then in the end we just couldn't get it to feel right. So
I don't know. Fortnite has it now.
There was also a hologram, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Hologram.
there's also a
That's
hologram.
fucking
Yeah.
in. We
It's still
shipped
there.
that.
We shipped hologram.
We shipped it.
Wait, we did.
The fact, man.
Picture of a dude.
Oh, Gecko.
No, but we
Gecko?
We didn't ship the Particle Man though.
Oh,
I think you might be thinking about Particle Man.
Oh yeah,
What's
the
Particle
decoy.
Man?
Jamie Marshall's and company, and probably JM and Jerry. I don't know who, but you could shoot Particle Man and he'd explode into particles and come back.
Oh yeah.
Like a Terminator.
Yeah.
You guys
It was
remember
a very elaborate hologram that was going to take up all the resources and not allow you to play the video game.
You guys remember Gecko climbing on the walls? We had the stick to the wall and
yeah,
climb everywhere you wanted.
Ladder.
Oh yeah. So as a side note, anyone who's never done it, ladders, first-person shooter, surprisingly difficult to get good. Surprisingly difficult.
Almost.
I mean,
as hard
it's
as
pretty
doors.
good in Shadowrun, but it took
Happens
a long,
every time.
long time.
Yeah.
That's
Without
my
the
bad.
animation, it was kind of weird.
That was
It
like
worked.
the
It
main
worked.
thing we got dinged on in the reviews. Like, this fucking game doesn't have ladder climbing animations. So like, wait, what? That's
Well, I mean,
that's
Yeah, that was the
hard.
weirdest thing.
we wanted you to be able to shoot. So
Yeah.
I don't know, like you're not solving that animation problem anytime. Even now, I don't think you could solve it.
Well, thank you for not giving in, because it 100% lets us shoot and kill everything. It's so much
Yeah.
better.
I just hate
Killing
being
trumps
on the
everything.
ladder.
And Merchstone, we have a question about the cut single player game.
Oh, shit.
What?
Community.
What about it?
There was
What about
one.
it?
There was one.
Yeah.
Transport. Was the single player going to be linear? And was there any plans to kind of incorporate any of the multiplayer maps into the story mode?
Yes.
My
and no.
my memory, and please correct me if I'm wrong on this. Single player was linear, but it was not going to be incorporating the multiplayer maps because there was a very different gameplay. The single player was going to have that's one of the reasons why it got cut. It was very expansive. It had the Matrix, it had the astral plane, it had all of that stuff in it. And so Microsoft decided that we needed to narrow down our focus. Is that correct, Mitch?
Nah.
Okay. And that's what caused it. That's what caused it all to get cut and go by the wayside. But no, it was a linear, progression-based, System Shock style RPG type experience.
There was a single level that we did again in Halo, and then we did another one in a completely different art style than what shipped.
Totally different.
When we were bringing the engine up.
It was almost like zombie
Right.
cops.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that was the
Superior.
cool part. That feature. What the hell did we call that? Where you could raise the
Resurrection.
Dead.
It was a
Resurrection.
single player version of
That was Res.
Resurrection.
Yeah.
When you rezzed guys, they came back as the Flood and fought for you.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, that was
Oh,
dope.
sweet.
Well, and Derek,
Which
tell them
they
about
do in Fortnite too right now as we speak. You know,
fucking Flaming
we were ahead of
Cocaine
our
Bear.
time.
What was that, Sage?
Tell them about Flaming Cocaine Bear.
Oh.
Or
Yeah.
not.
So what became the elemental really was we had gardeners in the single player prototype. The shaman character was a Halo soldier with did they have an elf head? No, those were the elves, yeah. Or one of the elf guys, and they could grow strangle vines, which we shipped them as crystals, but at the time they were vines, and we kind of moved towards hard surfaces rather than organic growing things. But when you killed them, they turned into werewolves or giant bear, but basically a flaming bear.
We were like, yeah, it was a bear
Like the
that
Minion.
wasn't scary enough. And we are like, Derek's like, what's more scary than a bear? A bear on fire.
Bear on fire. Just do it. I
It's
got a
just-
lot of
it's just
pushback from the
elemental.
artist that was not realistic or it was too ridiculous or something. It's like bear on fire. Come on.
Not realistic enough for Shadowrun.
Do we remember the Lord of the Rings phase that our project went through a little bit with the art style? No,
with
The
yeah,
dragon
you remember.
cinematic?
We're not
I
going to
think that
name
was
names.
before my time.
We're not going to name names, but we're going to say, like, at one point there was a thrust for realism that we could not afford.
Yeah.
Mitch knows. Look at Mitch's face. Look at his soul escape.
Let me tell you something. The dread that I had coming into this AMA was real. Right? It's like, and the cool thing is, it's been, how long has it been? Like 16 years?
16, yeah.
Since it was released.
2007.
Yeah. Bourbon does a lot. And 16 years, yeah, I have forgotten a lot. And you guys are bringing back some wonderful memories. And I just want to thank you for that.
I think one of the sleeper memories I have is every time now I hear the girl from Ipanema, I just smile to myself and tell no one, because no one else except you folks would get that. It's just like, yep.
And I'll throw this in there with you, Bill. I heard a techno version of Bayana the other day, and it blew me away. I was like,
We should put a link to Biana
Okay,
What?
so
somewhere.
my
it was
wife,
a techno version of Biana, and it like, you know, like a smell or a scent or a song takes you back to that time, and
So for
man,
those of you in the audience who don't know what the fuck
instant transport.
Biana is, that's the when you the opening cinematic of the game. That's
Oh, yeah.
that's the music behind it. The band is called the Barbatukes. Look
It was
them
in
up.
what was
They're
it?
Portuguese, I think.
It was soccer. They played that in
They-
Brazil.
Yeah, and they played it on KEXP one weekend, and I was like, just a couple of weeks ago or last week, and it just like it teleported me right back to
See
that
what you did
time,
there.
and I was like, and
My
I was
wife-
just like, whoa, this is amazing. It gave me goosebumps. It was cool.
a couple of years ago,
Okay.
my wife like ran into the room and she was like, "I'm so excited about this song." I was like, "What was it?" It was Biana, and I was like, "Are you
Yeah.
are you
Are you
kidding me?"
fucking
Like,
kidding me?
and I was like, "Did you pay attention to the stuff I was doing back then?"
Yeah.
I'm sure she had
Hey, there's
heard
a
it.
cool
but
song I heard.
She
Yeah.
just forgot it, but she was very excited to
Pretty
share
nice house. You know where it came from?
it. Probably not Shadowrun.
Yeah. Truth.
Eric, do you
Could
want
be
to talk
fair.
about your there's a question about the minion and
Yeah,
why.
I'm ready
You
to.
should
I'm
talk
ready to
about
take
because that was fucking brilliant.
It
So
was.
Yeah, let
What,
me add.
Mammon?
Oh yeah.
yeah, JM just said I was brilliant. Everybody
did.
write that down.
Let me introduce the question from the community.
Yeah,
This
go ahead.
Enjo won the show. Thanks for watching. He asked, was the minion ever stronger than it is now? Also, allied minions fighting was put in because you thought too many minions would be OP.
Yes.
Also destroyed the frame rate.
For sure they
each
were.
other.
For sure they were. We tuned them up and down various times. Had different ideas how they would work, but yeah, basically it was JM was like, "Hey, what are you gonna do?" You know,
It was
if you
eating the
have-
machine.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
like,
yeah, it was very bad performance.
yeah. I mean, you can only. It's like we try to max out as designers. We try to max out everything and just put all points into everything as
At the
many
same
times as
time.
possible. At the same time, yeah, everything.
Yeah.
You heard me. Everything. And so, yeah, knowing that we couldn't do that, it's like, okay, so if two of them fight, they just hate each other. They're from hell or wherever. You know, they're demons. They hate each other. They hate you. They hate them. They fight, and then that's it.
But that
To give
don't
some
think they give you enough credit for, like, okay, so there's a problem. We couldn't have enough bipeds. If all 12 people or whatever, everyone in the match tried to summon minions, the game would just get crushed to a
Absolutely.
Think about a bunch of like, fuck, we're gonna have to put a meter up, shows how many minions are in the world. We didn't have a really elegant design solution to solve that, and Derek's solution was like, fuck it, they just hate each other, and so players will immediately learn, oh, I just burned a bunch of mana for no reason, I won't do that again, right? But
so they get to
probably
hate
even
each other.
now, if you got a bunch of people, well, right, but if you got a bunch of people to simultaneously summon minion, it would still be bad for performance.
And
No one does it, so you'll lose.
And Michael T can probably agree. Our perf testing, where we're just shooting like miniguns and unleashing minions into the universe, making sure that we had the most. And JM probably knows this too. Well, he does. Where it was like the maximum efficiency for performance with the chips we had at the time, and you know, just really killing it and putting punishment on the game to make sure that we had a solid multiplayer experience.
Well, props to Steve and Porter on this one, to what you're saying, because we gave the environment such a small budget to leave incredible space for what are these players going to do to us? What terrible, terrible things are they going to stack on at the same time to make my life miserable?
Let's make a slum without graffiti or debris. That's fantastic.
Can't afford debris.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I think the game direction, and a lot of it was performance related. I think that we
Yeah.
had a ton of ideas, but there's a lot of things that we just couldn't do it. I remember that we come out with these maps and they'd just be open spaces and like nice, like cool sniper areas, and we'd have to block them off because of performance related issues.
Culling and porting, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, one interesting bit of trivia. What did we call the dig site eventually when we shipped it?
It's
Big Dig.
Dig site.
Yeah.
Dig
site.
site? Okay,
Yeah,
well,
it's dig
anyway,
Nailed it.
originally that was DE Dust. And we put DE Dust in the game just to see how it play because we've been playing a bunch of Counter-Strike, and we put it in, and then it eventually morphed into that. But you could probably take it apart and find a few bits and pieces of similar bits. But yeah, it started as DE Dust.
That is cool.
It's one of
Yeah,
the
DE
most
Dust,
favorite
Counter-Strike,
AV8
yeah.
maps.
1.6, right, Michael T?
1.6.
1.6. tap through the hall.
We're getting a bunch of questions in. I want to have emerge. I know it's got
DJ, you
voted
wanna
on
do
by the
questions?
community.
Oh, yeah.
Another question from the community was in regards to teleport, probably one of the most groundbreaking abilities of the game, especially for the time period. The different little strats you can use. Was the development team aware that you're able to do special teleports, like a double teleport, jumping up and teleporting in the middle of the air, kind of what we call a juke, to where if you manipulated the timing of your movement, that you can kind of, the animation looks like you're teleporting one way, but you end up completely on the other side of someone.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
The majority of those are on purpose. The try to read your mind. I mean, we spent a lot of time on like we could go into how it works, but we try to read your mind, and if we're wrong, it's terrible. So we spend a lot of time trying to get, how much look vector is taken into account, how much of your motion is taken into account, what do you get to do afterwards, how the
Sage's internet. You're losing
You'll
it.
notice that the tests, and Jerry could go into this, but it does a bunch of pill tests and it gives you a result which is in your favor most of the time, right? Like just the crouch, you can drop down, you can change your direction. It's your left stick movement into account as well. So we had a very complicated heuristic to determine where you're going to teleport, and just if you play enough, it just becomes natural and it feels right. But it took a long time to get that correct. And then of course I stole it and put it in Destiny.
Yeah, teleport is what makes Shadowrun really great. Honestly, that was like your first big thing about the game was Shadowrun, and we put so much time into just testing it out. There's so many different tricks that you can do with it. I mean, honestly, even testing with it was really horrible because you can like get out of the world, and so many times like developing with it was crazy. You can get to crazy places. Even when we shipped, there was like some crazy areas that you can get to in the map. So right now, like there's if you're looking down and you teleport, you jump, you teleport, you don't teleport as high than if you were just looking at your direction. So I'm sure they've learned this by now.
John Anderson,
We thought that was a bug. A lot of us thought those were bugs because of the tutorial says it's only the direction that you were moving. Actually, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not at all.
It's direction and look
movement.
vector.
The movement has gotten so much faster. As a person that like starts the game, they don't know. They move slow. They have no idea. It's very clunky. They don't know about the bloom. They don't know about too much. As you go into this game, we're 16 years into it. Like we've been doing this since like 2010, since I started playing the game. Try to this is where we're at now, right? We're doing this AMA. Yeah. This is the stuff that I wanted. It's weird that it's happening, but yeah, man, we didn't know. We thought those were bugs that somebody found out because one person found out that you could teleport and then jump, and it would keep you going a little bit, and your essence would regenerate, and you could teleport again. That opened up so much movement, and it slowly spread throughout the community that you could do that. People thought it was not real, and now
that's Shadowrun fever right there.
It really is.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of that wasn't we did a lot of it on purpose, but there's probably bugs in there too.
And John Anderson did an
an
amazing job with the nav mesh stuff. Like doing the coding for the nav mesh. He did an amazing job of making sure you didn't. I mean, obviously there was going to be things that happened, but like there was a lot of things to take into consideration. He did an amazing job. with that code.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll
As a
say
test.
what-
Oh, I was just gonna
about-
say, just
Oh,
really
yeah.
quick, DJ, as a tester, especially talking about dig site and teleport, Michael T will back me up on this. You could start the match as lineage, not RNA, but you could just teleport up and then just slaughter the whole team like right away. But that was part of the idea, right? So it took the environment artists to make sure that you could do that. It took it took the engineers, what could we do to make the stretch, those kinds of things, those nuances that made Shadowrun what it is. And I echo Michael T's point, is teleport really, I mean, there's no game like it, and that's because of that. So anyway, that's
There's
my
not.
I'll give you something else to. I'll give you something else to search for. So Sage talked about consistency and how we're doing pill tests. The way the whole thing works is I just have a bunch of pills out in the world, and I'm checking to see if they're inside or outside the world. And I take your look vector and your movement vector, and it kind of takes that box and sticks it somewhere, wherever it kind of is using the math for. But then the search pattern on those boxes were hand coded by me, and it's a very particular pattern. So it starts I think it starts high, and it starts to go low, and it starts to go outwards.
And there's
And
a
so
trail back to your original position too.
It's a little scorpion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's if you can learn that pattern, you might get some more interesting techniques.
And also shout out to Derek Carroll with the bloom. Somebody had asked about the bloom. That was kind of one of his brainchilds in the dev style, and it really showcased how your aim, your accuracy, and how you approached the style of your weapon affected the other player. So I could go on and on all day. I could write a paper about it. Write a PhD paper about it.
Did we
I
talk
just
about
remember Derek
gardening?
Carroll was a menace with the teleport and the katana and the glider.
Oh,
yeah, dude.
He was such a menace. Derek.
Mantis, are
I'm
you
still
kidding
angry.
me?
So originally,
Troll glider katana.
Oh,
There.
oh, yeah. Troll.
That's why we started
apart.
using
Troll
Gust.
apart.
Actually,
Yeah.
I think that was the reason why we started using Gust in our playtest was because of that. Yeah.
Gust is a great
yeah,
point.
well,
And
we
PK
developed Gust to hurt glider, right? As we added it, okay, what else can Gust do? But I want to talk about the katana was really interesting to me from a design standpoint, because originally it was one hit kill, and it was like fights almost broke out, right? And so then we developed the complicated sort of awareness system. Hey, you had to actually surprise them. Like we wanted it to be like a D&D surprise attack. So we did that. It was still bad, and then we did the bleed out. And the bleed out led to a bunch of interesting stuff. I don't think we had it before. Katana caused us a bunch of problems, so we started doing bleed out because it's like, okay, you hit them, they're gonna die, but you usually still die. Well, at least when we were playing, many times you'd still die, but that ability to I have a chance, I have an option to turn around and shotgun this guy, him, right? Or I have an option to get to a tree. And maybe I'll get saved. Maybe I'll become someone's zombie. And then from that we developed all of the pyramid scheme. I mean, it's interesting as we added that, and it would be really hard. You could probably get one more in there, but all the interactions between all the different abilities got really complex, and it got harder and harder to add new ones to the game. But yeah, anyway,
y'all did a pretty good job, though. By the way, very good job.
And to tie this back to one of the questions, because this is technically an AMA, is that the Tom Burlington Memorial Sniper Spot, I believe Derek named because Tom Burlington was an artist who only liked to snipe, and he always liked to snipe from one spot. and Derek would always go and katana him because he knew exactly where he was going to be. And so we would just name the Tom Burlington numeral SnarkSlide because it's like,
That's
there's
awesome.
Tom in
So
his
it's been-
spot,
Gravestone.
sniping again for 7 seconds until Derek gets there.
It's been a while. Is that on Factory by the
No, it's on
ladder?
Dig.
No, dig
It's,
site.
it's
It is on
Dig.
Dig
shooting
site?
down
Are
into
you
the
sure?
hole.
Because
Yeah,
Tom
yeah.
Burlington
And
also
it's-
used to stay at the top
it's
of the
on the
ladder
top
on
part of the dig
Factory.
He had
site.
one
Two-
spot. He had one spot
There's
on every
two
map,
spots.
but that
There's
was
two
the one
spots.
that got a name.
One
Yeah, 'cause
memory
A
from
lot of
the
teleporting up behind Tom for
the
sure.
development cycle. Tom Burlington we had the Tom Burlington uniform. He wore jeans and a
Still
white
does.
t-shirt every
Still
every
does.
day.
He
And
still does.
wasn't there a thing where we all came in wearing that outfit
Yes.
and like a mask of Tom Burlington?
Yes,
It's like Slim Shady.
that's right. Same haircut.
Oh my god, I love it.
Question from DJ himself was actually directed at Sage. So on if you could let us know a little bit what's happening under the hood with SmartLink on it's kind of, we know it was meant to probably be your iteration of auto aim and kind of as a cheat, but what's happening under the hood with SmartLink?
And let me add on to that too a little bit. Is there a difference between what's going on keyboard and mouse versus console or controller with
Yes.
SmartLink?
They're definitely tuned differently.
So I'm gonna derail for a second and we were gonna do when we were sort of pushed to do Xbox Live for Windows, we started doing keyboard mouse. We thought originally that was going to be the keyboard mouse would just slaughter everyone, and it was pretty interesting because initially they didn't, and we were like, what happened, right? What went wrong? And it was because we had turned off all of the friction for keyboard and mouse, and so all of the hit reactions were too strong for mice. Like if you were following the guy, and so we had to do a little balancing there to get that right. So yeah, SmartLink was, and Derek can correct me if I misremember any of this. It's been quite a while. There's a cool thing in the Shadowrun universe that is like, you get SmartLink and then you can go cookie cutter and you just don't have to worry about like friendly fire. But it improves your aiming. So there's a difference between, sort of controller, what I call friction and adhesion on the controller, and then also how much the aim vector is getting pulled towards your target. And that still applies for both controller and mouse. And so, those things get improved. Obviously you can't do any friendly fire. Derek, there was like 2 or 3 other things, but I don't know that I can remember them now.
There's
Yeah, there's a bunch of
magnetism,
stuff.
there's friction, and then there was the bullet
Ray
being
bending.
pulled towards
The
the
bolt
head,
bend?
ray
Yeah.
bending.
Magnetism.
Yeah.
It was-
Right,
it was
but
a-
I'm talking about like just the SmartLink in general had a couple of other benefits that like to the game, because we had to boost it a couple of times because it's like, why would I bother taking this? If I'm gonna take tech, I'm gonna take something else. But of course with the minigun,
Sage, we've
assault,
been
it's pretty valuable.
Sage, we've been noticing lately, now that there's like a bunch of people playing these days. A lot of people back in the day weren't playing on mouse and keyboard. A lot of people didn't play on PC because it was the Vista days, right? Now that we've been able to get it playing for so many people on PC through Windows 10, mouse and keyboard is very hard. It is so hard. This game feels like it's meant for controller. The way the movement is, the way we can like maneuver around the map and like feel comfortable in
That's
each
Bill
of the
Fol-
maps.
Well, there's definitely a difference. You get, you move
Yeah.
and maneuver better with controller, and you aim better with mouse. And it was pretty even. I mean, T could talk about this because he was the best mouse player probably in the studio at the
Michael
time.
T was the best player I've ever met.
That's what we've heard. There's lore. There's still lore there.
There's a question actually about who was better,
There is
Paul
no doubt
or
he is
EXT.
the best player I have ever met.
Oh, thanks, guys.
There's
Thanks.
also
No,
just
I
like
mean,
throwing
the
down
reason
combos, right? Like
when
that
we
was-
were
Go ahead.
Yeah, when we were playing, play testing all the time there would be a lot of times where we're playing, okay, this team's all on PC or this team's on controller, and and it was hard, honestly, like it's hard to tell what was good and what was wrong because we'd be tweaking it constantly and what changed it. But the idea is that like the reason why I think that people feel like it's hard on PC is because I think at the very end we landed on the reason why PC is so much better was because you could just like turn around on a dime, right? And so what ends up happening is we just bloom it. If you move at a certain speed, your bloom goes out like crazy, right? So I think that's the biggest reason why, yeah, it feels. I would think that a lot of people think it feels better on controller than PCs, specifically because when you turn around and you look at somebody, you have to wait for a little bit for your bloom to go down before you can take a shot, and I think that's the biggest difference.
I found it
And I think
hard to do
also it's the
combos,
Bill
right?
Fulton radial dial. I mean,
Yeah.
let's address the elephant in the room. That radial dial for the console made you equivocal to the mouse keyboard. I mean, like literally. So you could actually
Being able
have
to
an
map.
edge. Yeah. You had an edge, like minion, tree, teleport,
Grenade, so you can have
Yeah.
whatever. And I would quick cast grenade. I would quick cast, minion, and still have my mapped
Abilities and
hotkey.
everything. Yeah.
Like, because teleport would always be my left trigger, always.
Yeah.
And
We do this thing now with trolls to where it's going to be right bumper for teleport, and then you've got your Y reflexes to move faster. You don't really use it too much as troll, but it's just enough to like make them move faster, get them there if they need to.
It's funny that you brought
They use
that up.
an anti-mags to fight the other troll.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up, EXT?
If you go all the way
peanuts.
back, go back to the smart link, because I remember both
Yeah.
fired reflex and the enhanced vision. We were definitely having conversations about, hey, these are basically just
Wall
cheats and they're kind of
hacks.
fun, right? It's
Yeah.
wall hack, speed hack, and auto
Game hack.
Name hack. It was like those were the popular ones. They still are. And I remember kind of just taking that as a cue and going for it.
And especially with the environments that Steve and Porter created, they allowed us to explore those possibilities with their guys and insight. Hey, we're making a map. We have here's the parameters. Let's adhere to those and maximize what people like Jerry and Sage and Derek, they all wanted to accomplish, and I just man, I could go on and on. Yeah,
we had some really interesting parameters to work with when we were doing the levels. Like we had to adhere to like certain number of draw calls per level, certain number of sectors. So like there was a lot of back and forth with how much design could change in terms of like the artistic style, because like you only had so many draw calls for the textures that go into that.
Right.
Also dealing with an engine that had been progressed from MechWarrior and continually improved and stuff, but there were still some things that hadn't caught up yet that we had to add later on, like transparent, like glass and reflections and stuff like that needed to be replaced, but also trying to keep it as efficient as possible.
I'll definitely say for anyone that's out there that is a game developer, we had 2 tool stabs. They were awesome, but we only had 2, and the artists had a really hard time. I mean, it wasn't quite all command line tools, but it was not what you've got now. It was a rough burn.
It was lean and mean. How many programmers do we have all up on that game? 15, maybe 20? Like it wasn't much.
15-ish.
No, I think it was like 9 or 10. I mean, I think
there was a core,
like 30.
but
I feel sorry for Jonah.
Yeah, poor Jonah.
Because I would be there till midnight.
I kept falling there late a lot.
He would be there with me, and his wife hated me. Because she was like, "Why are you here?" And he's like, "Because Porter's still here." And she was like, "Well, screw him." Like, but those 45-minute check-ins took like the dependency checkers. Holy shit, that took forever.
Yeah,
but I made sure the build worked the next morning.
It worked every time.
By the way, Porter, his name was Porter Graphic.
We have another question from the community. This one's directed at Bill. It's about the peer-to-peer connectivities. Was peer-to-peer originally the designated kind of matchmaking intention, or was it kind of just a fallback implementation for FASA? And we also saw that there was a dedicated server tool in the PC version. However, all of public matchmaking seems to be on that peer-to-peer network.
He's not on the call right now, but I'll speak for him. Just to be a friend and an advocate. Bart House. He was a great dude is a great dude who did a lot of our networking and made sure that we could as testers for myself and like EXT, that we could play at 30 frames just immaculately. So yeah.
Well, I did the replication stuff, and Bart did all of the service stuff, right? And then Joe,
Yep.
Joe did that
Jerry,
dedicated
yep.
server. I do remember there was some certification stuff because we were the first Windows game on crossplay, and so I think what the deal was is that only PC could play with the dedicated servers or something. But that's just kind of by memory.
Yeah,
we definitely had it.
Here's my recollection: we did 3 separate matchmaking systems because they kept changing the rules on us. So Xbox itself had its own matchmaking system, and that's the peer-to-peer that still kind of works now, as I understand it. But we were attempting to do crossplay, and Games for Windows Live didn't really exist. And at one point, we had an absurd conversation of, well, this is going to have to pass cert. It's like, okay, give me your cert requirements. Oh, we haven't written them yet. How are we going to pass the requirements? We don't know what the requirements are. And so I designed 3 matchmaking systems. And then right when we were about ready to go with a kind of a riskier, newer one is when they told us FASA would be no longer. And it's like, well, there's no one around to service this risky, novel matchmaking system. And so we are going to have to fall back on one of the other 2 ones we've been working on. And so that's why there's the Xbox standard peer-to-peer. That was just normal for the time. And then we had a dedicated server for Xbox Windows, Xbox for Windows Live, or whatever the tortured name was.
Games for Windows Live.
Games for Windows Live. Yeah. And and that worked, but that was actually our fallback of what we really wanted to do, but we couldn't. And so it is actually a little bit of a hodgepodge as we move between the different systems, because they kept changing the rules. At one point, I remember them telling us that to run a dedicated server, you had to buy an Xbox Gold subscription. It's like, wait, you're going to charge them to make the experience better for other people.
Yep.
Okay.
They still did it.
All right.
I think there's I want to jump in and say 2 things about matchmaking. One, I mean, the networking was really solid at the time. We did a couple of things that we thought were cool and the community didn't really get. One was we did straight up skill-based matchmaking every time. Like, hey, yeah, we're gonna make you hurt every time. Like, it's not gonna be random, you're not gonna get an easy win, right? Like, but then we liked the dedicated server feel, so we intentionally put you with players that you had played with before if their skills were close. And when the game shipped, no other games were doing that, and so the community just assumed no one's playing this game because I keep running into the same people over and over again. And we're like, well, we were doing that on purpose, so you would get friends and learn to talk to them or whatever.
Yeah, that was
ahead of its time.
Oh yeah, well,
that was definitely a big choice we made. Is that my goal was the game would help you make friends in the game. And if you think back to Halo and Call of Duty at that time, at the end of the match, they just blew you up. If you had a good time playing with your teammates, they were gone. Too bad. But we made it instead. You had opt out. It's like the only way you'd stop playing with these people is if someone quit playing. You'd stay in the match, and that would give you a chance to play 2, 3, 4, 5 matches with the same people. If you play at the same length of time, that gave you a chance to get to know somebody that you might try to play with them again. And that was one of the core goals that we had for matchmaking, is build friends inside the game. And they was like, oh, but ranking. It's like, I don't care about ranking. What I care about is that people have fun with their friends playing this game. And it's really hard to get your real friends to like the games you like, but we should help you make friends who already like the game. And that was the core goal of matchmaking.
I still think we had a solution for that with clubs, but it never saw the light.
It's
of day.
happened.
We have patents on it.
Bill, it's happened as you see. Like it literally fruitioned into this. Now there's this giant Discord, and we're here. We've been doing this.
That was a big investment, Bill.
It was a big
15 years
investment
in the making.
The long game.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just playing for the market to rise eventually.
We've had community members that have been friends because of kind of that implementation, that they've gone to each other's weddings. They know like their whole families.
We have a big LAN planned in Nashville. Yeah, we got this October. Like maybe 30 of us are gonna go to an Airbnb in Nashville to have a LAN and just bring PCs now that we can all play on it. Back in 2017, we were actually in Santa Ana, California, at an esports arena. They had a throwback kind of thing at like one of their arenas. I guess that's like the first place, isn't it, in Anaheim? John, you live there.
2017 was Anaheim.
So it was Team Fortress 2, big stage, Halo CE, and then Shadowrun. And so 12 of us went and got to meet each other for the first time.
That's awesome.
And so it was really cool because there was a LAN way back in 2008 when it first started, but now here's this one way later, and then it kind of died. And then there's this resurgence that's here. And then now we're having another one in Nashville to where it works and it feels great. We're on PC, 200 frames.
Speaking of which, want to do a thank out to Esports Arena for allowing us to attend their Anaheim center, which seems to be now closed on that location, but allowing the Shadowrun community to be a part of their Rewind 2017 event. So thank you to them for that.
It's like this for you all, coming back together after a long time, seeing each other on the internet. Now we get to have our internet friends, and we're going to go see them in Nashville that we haven't seen 16 years. Never met.
So
you guys did this to us, and now we get to go hang out with some people.
And so I have to report to Phil Spencer. So I am gonna take this podcast, DJ, and I'm gonna run with it, bro.
Hell yeah!
I have a question for the community about the rubber banding that we did, because it was always like, should we be doing this? Should we not? It felt right at the time, but so how do you guys feel about, bodies getting harder to remove as the other team is?
Fucking love it. It fucking makes people karma fucking freaks us out, because you try, if you could shoot a little bit and run behind knowing that someone's there. We're real into it. If you find so from EXE played MOG, right? We're so much harder than that now. We are too good at the game.
Have you guys found secret hardening?
Secret hardening.
Oh yeah. What do you mean by that? Well, no. Ask the question. What is it? Well, I'll say yes or no.
Right. So you'll notice when you team shoot, it always takes you the same amount of shots that it would normally to kill another player, but it won't be as fast as if you were actually both shooting them, because every player has a little bit of troll hardening running under the covers that disappears if it under the time of, I think, the rifle cadence, right? So because we were having a problem where you'd pop your head out, and if three guys all hit you, you'd just drop, and the game just didn't play that well. And so we added that, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through or something. And yeah, now I'm ruining it for everyone. Derek's like, fucking, you don't talk about secret hardening.
Yeah, that's a secret thing like Kung Fu.
When I thought you said secret hardening, I was thinking more of do you shoot your own teammate in the back, like troll, to shoot them, to harden them so that they take more damage.
I have to say something about this. So that came up. Our testers came up with the idea, hey, shouldn't you just shoot the troll in combat? And once Sage was playing troll, and a tester shot him when Sage was not accustomed to this belief that the testers had, that shooting your teammate troll was a good idea. And Sage is getting all pissy and yells, and then finally after the game, someone explains it to him. He goes, "So you're fluffing the troll? You think that's a good idea?"
Weird. I've got a sort of a follow-up question there too. This is for me. So one thing that has become there was a delta between, I think, our experience when we were developing the game and sort of where the community landed on, and that is body clearing. It has been the community has kind of banned it, not entirely banned it, but people will get kicked out of games if they body.
Oh, it's a negative in a public setting, in a very just if you're just trying to run around and not play like a team on team kind of thing, you're just there, they don't like it.
And so
but it's
Have you tried
integral,
not
right?
dying?
From
And I can
Tell
tell
them
you
that.
from a publisher standpoint, Microsoft, the USK and Germany especially, they do not welcome that type of behavior, and they require a different build. And maybe Mitch could say something to that. I don't know.
We took the blood out of it in
but-
Germany. I think,
But
right?
they do not allow swastikas. They do not allow body clearing.
Well, that's
They do not
swastikas
allow.
are illegal.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
There
didn't come
are
up,
higher standards. There are very higher standards.
It's body mutilation is in the TCRs for Germany or something, right?
Yeah.
So
XR.
and to put a sort of a point on the question, so like the community doesn't like or want and discourages body clearing. You can get kicked out of games if you do it. When we were playing, that was surprising to me. To me, it was an important part of the balance of the game. And the question you asked Sage about rubber
Because otherwise,
bands,
they're going to have some
it
sort
is-
of fucking
it is a
giant
time
pyramid
waste
scheme running.
intentionally.
It's part of the game dynamic. Clearing a body, so you can't res, and resing is very important. Like if I were to sit there and be an elf with super high magic and I res EXT, my team's gonna win. So there's that there.
And it creates sort of a dynamic too, where it like there's dynamics around being aggressive or not, right? If you go out there on your own and get killed, the cost of that is you are eliminating the possibility of res of yourself because they're gonna clear you.
Yeah,
right?
don't do
But-
that.
Yeah. So
Or be a cowboy.
Well, it was
I
also
distinctly,
it was
I distinctly
trying to get-
remember
Great
at some
topic.
points yelling, "I'm not resing anyone on the what was the floor of that when the first minute?"
Just
It's
factory
basically-
floor.
Yeah, if I'm not
That's on the
resing anyone on the
t-shirt.
factory floor, it's like if you're on the top level, you have no business being on the factory floor, and I'm not going to res you. But because why? But I agree. It's like it makes you so okay. You kill someone, that's a great thing. Right then, you have a risk reward. Do I take the risk of hanging out and clearing the body, or do I run and let that person be resable? And that's a nice that's a nice tension, because then the person who has successfully killed that person is themselves vulnerable. And so it creates this sort of almost rubber banding where a good player who makes a kill is now going to make himself vulnerable, or is going to leave someone else. be
Right,
res.
and we made you look down on purpose. It's not a mistake that you have to like get right on
Right.
top of it and look down, and like you lose your situational awareness, right? I assume DJ, you can still like Gus bodies around, because Jerry and I spent a lot of time doing that. He was not happy with me that like that was
replicating
hard to
Ragnarok
get.
is really hard, man.
So
yeah,
Sage,
you
was
can
it
roll-
you that designed or did who came up, who did the sort of mechanics of res? I'd love for you to sort of make a case to the community. Why is it important? Why should you guys not be shutting it down?
Yeah, I
What
think
do you
Bill.
mean? Yeah, go, Derek.
I think Bill mentioned it just a minute ago. Yeah, it's the risk reward, the cowboy style of going out there. Like I could go out and get a kill or two, but if I die, I've overextended potentially, and I'm not coming back. The same thing what Dan mentioned. If T's down, it's like, ooh, that's worth that. You have to do a bunch of math to say, is it worth it? Am I going? How much is it worth it to get T back? It's like, yeah, all right. And then again, with playing with players that it's like Derek is absolutely going for it. Like he is going to put himself at risk.
And we're just gonna let him get cleared because he expects that. Right? Like he's on his own. He's gone lone wolf, and unless you're conveniently nearby, you're not gonna go to the factory floor and pick him up.
Yeah, but res is awesome. res is amazing because it gives you a lot of choices there. I mean, I know like you know, you can use, actually clearing bodies is great. I think it's great. I think it gives you the opportunity to say like, oh, am I risk reward? But the problem is that, you know, you use it as a trap. Most of the time is you just want to leave the guy there and you just wait for the person to res and you're gonna kill the guy on the res, and then he's pipping out and then their whole team's like freaking out at that point. It's a great like risk reward, but most of the time you just want to shoot the guns away, right? So they can't pick up anything. Person gets res, you kill the person who res them, done deal, right? So that's why it's like you have teleport and res, which is perfect combination, right? You teleport in, res. I'm not sure
And
if
you
you have
can't
enough.
teleport out.
You can't
And I
teleport
lose a
out,
clip.
yeah.
I lose a clip on clearing your body, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's definite risk and
and
reward.
that's also why you spike bodies of the better players with anti-magic grenades. You know, just do what you gotta, you know. And that's why you have to clear the anti-magic before you kill the body.
Anti-magic grenades.
You can use them as a draw too, like throw an anti-magic grenade so the res can't happen. But
Being a
when it
human,
comes with
yeah.
the res, and then you fuck them up. So let's hear a response from the community. Hearing this, what does that affect your position on reses at all? You think still it's a thing to be discouraged and it's not an appropriate part of this game?
You mean clearing bodies? Res is
clearing bodies, right?
I would love to hear that feedback because to me, res is an ultimate game changer. It's just, you know, proof is in the pudding. Like I said, like if I res EXT when I'm an elf and I have 4 pips left and I can do that, that's worth it to me, and it's weight in gold. So
but my man Dan, though, you're talking about like how the game is supposed to be played, not by public, just people playing the game. Just random people trying to play, they just queue up, and they're not playing anything different. They don't have different modes. They have Shadowrun, and that's it. That's all they got. They got everything, and that's it. These people get they get dutied on.
They get mad when they
get frustrated.
They do, and they quit the game and they get out. They're like, "This is too hard." What people do, they play too many shooters. Like when you shoot a bullet, it goes to that spot that you aimed. There's Bloom. They don't understand Bloom. Bloom is new. They can't understand that. So they just run around with the rifle. They don't crouch. They don't crouch. And when they have to stop, they go, "I have to stop moving," and they get
yeah.
I got shit for Bloom today at the health club. I swear to you.
Send it to me, Mitch. They just got to find me.
Sage.
I promise, Sage. I will send them to you in a bag. Don't worry about
it. So I want to talk about like just kind of how res came about, and I don't know. I just think this is interesting as the way we developed it. So, we tried to compress the RPG into this. Like you're basically building your character every time you play a match, right? So the RPG is super compressed. You're building it, you're getting money, you're trying to succeed and do well so you can buy more stuff so you get more powerful, and that creates the crescendo over the course of the match. Well, originally we were like, yeah, it's going to be round based, no return, get fucked, right? Like, don't be dumb. If you get killed, too bad. And I don't remember if it was before or after we added res, but Derek and I had a lot of really good discussions, and I would still love to see it in the game, and I'm probably never going to do it, so I guess I'm going to talk about it. It was like things to do in Shadowrun when you're dead, right?
Oh,
so
I have that.
Yeah.
I have that doc.
Ghosts.
What's that, Derek?
I have that doc still.
Yeah. So we'll talk about it because that was. I still think, we didn't do it, and that would have been fucking awesome. It would have been another really interesting rubber banding mechanic that could have added even another layer to the game, and it never made the cut. We just didn't have time when we were working our asses off, and we just couldn't do it. But yeah, talk about what that was, I guess.
Oh man, so I'd have to go back and read it again. But yeah, and this kind of goes into bleed out as when we were talking before, is you want to be able to do things even after you've failed. And so like when you're dead, you can still talk to your teammates really. And so that can be a huge thing. But we had come up with, oh man, what was
like Ghost World that was like you just floated around with glider and like gust or something, but basically you got sent to the astral plane
Yeah.
and everybody who was dead was in the fucking astral plane. So if you killed more of the other team, more of the other team was in the astral plane. So when you got there, they were beating your ass, and so you could basically fight your way out of the astral plane and race yourself. Right?
We never actually prototyped that. I mean,
No, well, we talked about a bunch of different. I mean,
we talked about lightweight like mechanics that could cross over, like maybe a light gust or something. Yeah, and then like maybe in the ghost world you were, I don't know, collecting a resource or something to
run around
ultimately
picking
earn
up
your
coins or whatever. Yeah.
Don't say coin Sage. Oh my god.
Related. It was all related to your team and their activity. So it was kind of encouraged you to be over in the action and also communicating out back was kind of the thought. That's what I remember.
Right. I mean, we even talked about having abilities that like let you like, oh, when I'm dead, I'm gonna be able to like either block or like attach to a player and then help them be their second sight or like shield for them. Like there was a bunch of that stuff. Anyway, Derek has a giant doc on all the ideas we had for it, but things to do at Shadowrun when you're dead never happens. So we did res.
Let's leak that doc right onto the internet.
Yes. What would it take for us to, just happen to have that doc sent our way?
Or in the Discord.
May I ask a question?
I think that's on our OnlyFans or something, right? You can sign up for that.
Whoa!
Right here.
Check the gamer tag. Let's keep going.
So with hey, pardon. So with like map design, because it's all pretty much around teleport, right? Oh, we've already covered this, my bad. But any DLC, any other map design that was like ready to go in the chamber that like because of that ability having to make maps around that? Like did anybody have any insight into the next thing that was going, or was it pretty much like the release was it?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's true that we designed around teleport. Teleport was one of the considerations. Like, basically, we would, because the main game was getting the relic or the flag, is capture the flag.
Yeah.
And so we knew that you had to walk the flag. You couldn't fly the flag or teleport the flag. So there was always a main path through that was walkable and dangerous and long. And then there were always shortcuts and then teleport shortcuts. And then so, trying to mix and match those things a bunch of different ways. And yeah, we had more maps than we shipped. And
so do you know that there are maybe teleports that you didn't design for that we found? Or are all teleports there?
I recall I think it was Farrier, I'm not sure. Maybe it was John Anderson. He designed a bot, ability to run overnight, a bot trying every possible teleport from every possible location and direction. And we would come back and he would show us teleport spots we hadn't yet found. And it's like, really? Oh, I'm going to use that because nobody else in the studio knows that yet. So that I remember that being kind of cool. It's like, okay, we didn't expect it, but that's actually pretty clever.
I love the that. AI and the QA team scrubbed it really hard. We didn't want you falling out of the environment. So
yeah,
there was
maybe you found some minor variations. I'd be surprised if you found something we didn't.
But it's more for like the people playing to where when you see somebody do that because of the way that they're fall, like they jump and fall a certain way and they start getting a little bit of momentum, which gives them like, because there is a, you start speeding up as you fall. If you got a certain angle, you can get through that in a instant to go into like hangar and nerve center or something. Mm-hmm. It's just wild that is designed and kind of there's a bot that being like, you can do that if you want to.
Derek, I have this doc. It's wild. A good Shadowrun multiplayer map.
A follow-up for Heinen. Talk about the teleport lines and communicating that with the environment art. How do players know where you can and cannot teleport through?
Huge influence.
Yeah, I remember Derek was very specific on. Can you guys hear me, by the way?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, Derek was specific on certain locations. Basically, the design team would come to the environment art team and be very specific on where these spots would be. I can't remember off the top of my head what specific spots are, but definitely the design team would communicate that to the environment art team. Maybe Porter has some memories he wants to share.
Yeah, I mean, there was quite a few times that we used effects for places like in Dig. There's a floor that has a crack in it, and then the glowing stuff coming up, and you would teleport down through there. Specific size walls were, like we tried to make sure that those looked a lot more passable than, say, like the larger chunky walls. They just had a different texture on them. So we tried to I think there was like nerve center and lobby were kind of difficult because it was just the exterior walls that were sort of like not teleportable, but everything else was kind of fair game in those spaces. And so it was really hard to make sure that you knew that you could teleport everywhere without, letting you know that you could teleport outside of the space. We didn't want that. And it's not a really good way to telegraph that to the player with just like gray textures everywhere. So that was a tough one. But yeah, mostly like Dig and stuff like that. It was all particle effects in spaces that were teleportable. There was a pit as well where a lot of action happened in Dig.
It's the big hole.
Big hole, and lots of trees and lots of dead bodies. Those are the times.
Need res well.
Yeah.
Again, we are over time by quite a bit already. I am happy to keep going. I've fucking loved the conversation. If anybody needs to dip out, we want to be respectful of your time. Please do. But let's keep going. Emerge. I want to make sure we hit all the community questions that you guys have. How many more are there? And let's try to shotgun them. Let's hit us with a question, 1 or 2 answers, and let's just kind of blast through some stuff.
The one that was on the list that we wanted to ask was David Wicked on if you wanted to talk a little bit about kind of the engine, the Halo CE engine that the prototype was originally done, and the dragon level that we've heard rumored about in the campaign.
To be honest, I've got almost no memory of it. That was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I know we had plans for it. The Halo engine was mostly used to mock up the multiplayer, which you ended up playing, which I thought was fantastic because we had the ability to go to the team had the ability to go to the programmers and say, make this. But you had your hand up, Derek?
Yeah, so I did the single player prototype in the Halo engine with Andrew Baker and the many engineers who attacked the Halo engine, which that was such a pain in the butt, but it was amazing. Was there a dragon? I don't think there was a dragon.
There was a dragon. There was a dragon cinematic. We were doing a dragon cinematic for sure, like in the side.
But there was never
in the prototype
a dragon in game.
You escaped on a pelican
or something.
Yeah, you escaped on a pelican, and we played "See You in Hell" at the end. That's the only thing we actually really did. In the new engine, in the Badger engine, I'm trying to remember what that looked like.
You started out in a trench.
You were in a train car.
Train yard.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then you go.
And you worked your way past the train. Cars, right? You did that.
Yeah, Burger might have a video of it, but I don't know if he does, and he's not here.
There's like Arnold Aiello worked on some concept art early on, and the dragons and stuff like that. So if you go to, he's Dogma 5150 is his website. It's a WordPress website, but he's got some concept art for the original game there, with the elves and some of the mutants and orcs and like a dragon griffin biped sort of character. It would have been a difficult game to make with all the detail that was being made. There's some beautiful. When I first walked into the FASA and I was getting to work on Shadowrun, just looking at all the art that was up on the wall, just like my meeting with Mitch, it was I did an interview there. It was 12 hours. I got in at 9 a.m. I left at 9 p.m.
By the way, he wasn't allowed to use the bathroom.
I was not. And thanks for all those whiskeys.
Good for you, man.
At the end. But I was just so excited about it because the artwork was amazing and all that other stuff. And we switched, because that was the single player stuff. And Dorje Bellbrooks and Mark Sealander's beautiful concepts. It was really spectacular, and you wanted to see that, but at the same time, there was just no way to get it done in the time frame that we had.
George had the best concepts. Oh my god, they were
killer.
They
Both of them.
were
Both of them.
surreal. That's the only word I can think of right now.
I'm going to intermingle some lightning round questions to the ones that were just given from my own feed. This one's from Noxious. Would it be possible to get this game remastered? And who currently owns the rights?
Oh, totally. I'll do it myself. I've got this.
Who does own the rights?
Let's remake it. Let's remake it.
That warm analog
We'll call it
sound.
Shadowrun First Person Shooter Returns. It's owned by Microsoft.
Yeah.
It's owned by Microsoft.
So no, well, I mean, it's really up to them if they want.
Could you? But could you just have the same mechanics? Would it still have to be under Shadowrun? Because I feel like calling it Shadowrun, even though you love Shadowrun,
I don't think
the mechanics is what matters.
Don't rip the Band-Aid off that one.
Yeah, that goes back to an earlier question about would the game have been more successful if it wasn't called Shadowrun?
It would have been. 100% would have been.
I think
there's
I think it would not have
now.
solved it. It would not have solved everything. There were a lot of problems with marketing.
The
not
negative reviews you got
understanding the damn
was a lot
thing.
of people was from it being called Shadowrun and not being like who cared. Like
Oh,
these people
there
did
was-
not want a first person shooter in 2007.
The work we did to the work
All
we did
10
to
of
try
those
to
people-
solve that was large. We brought in a group of hardcore Shadowrun players into the studio for most of a week and showed them what we were doing. We did a bunch, but the basic problem was we were making the wrong game for that audience. We had lost track of our target audience, and we were still trying to aim it at that target audience. And marketing on top of that had no idea either what we were making or where it was originally aimed, and so they were shooting in a completely different direction.
Was anybody on the team aware that I tried to change the name and marketing refused?
No.
What did you try to change it to?
Yeah.
I
Who
was
gives a shit?
aware of the meetings with Jordan. We tried to put some elements of the RPG back in, but not that you tried to change the name.
Right.
Yeah.
The game we shipped wasn't
Man.
$50 is the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We made a
remake it.
multiplayer team shooter in 2007 and
Yep.
tried to sell it for $50, and it was
10
like
years early.
we knew
No,
that
well,
wasn't.
hold on.
That's
We
not
made a
gonna go.
multiplayer shooter in 2007 and tried to sell it for $50 to RPG fans.
Yeah.
Campaign.
And there's also a structural reason, I think.
Yeah.
Is we made at the time one of the most complex deep shooters ever made, deep games ever made.
It's
And
still here.
We cut single player, which essentially was our tutorial for how to possibly understand the depth of the game, because we could dole out powers slowly, weapons slowly, races slowly, and give you a chance to learn it before tossing the deep end of watching someone create one. I think I figured out like 216 million combinations, something crazy like that are possible in the game. You can't just toss someone in that and hope they survive it. And so we were 10 years early for the market, and no single player tutorial on top of everything else everyone just said. There were lots of, any one of those reasons would be enough to kill it. We had multiple of them.
I agree with everything Bill says, except for that we intentionally cut single player. We were
I didn't say we intentionally.
No.
If I said intentionally, we
Yeah, we
did
should-
cut it because we had to.
Yeah, we
No,
should.
but
we
that-
had it cut.
It wasn't an internal decision. Is all I
Yes.
was
Yes,
pushing.
agreed.
But
Yeah,
again,
Bill, what you're saying, if you look at almost any comment from people about the FPS Shadowrun, they're almost all that it was ahead of its time. That the game is just
Hell yeah.
so well built that a lot of the mechanics that we didn't see in any other game for years to come, and that it was just simply way ahead of its time.
FASA Studio was the king of games that appear on the games you never played on Xbox, but really damn well needed to list. We are. That was that simple.
We are the bastion of games. Hire us. We will make and change your life for the better. Games just transcends our philosophy on life. We will make your day better. Hire us.
What is happening?
Wait,
Uh,
Dan, do you want to say,
off
hey,
Spain?
I don't know.
hey,
what's going
brothers, Do you want to see this though? You know, people get tattoos on their.
Oh,
this-
Shadowrun
dude.
tattoo.
This has been on my hand for a long time.
Fuck
You
yeah.
know, I was even so. I'll leave you with this happy thought because I know we're closing on time, and I want to respect your time. But I was thinking of getting a FASA tattoo.
I
Just
think you
saying.
should.
Just saying.
Yep. you
Do it.
should.
What it's gonna do? You're just gonna remind yourself of something you love by looking at it all the time.
As long as
Why
it
not?
has a
I
pronunciation
love that you.
guide.
I love that you have a Shadowrun
Right.
tattoo.
It was a stick and poke. Is my one of my first tattoos. Someone was like, "Do you want a stick and poke?" And we all know what that is. And I'm like, you know what? That's the one. And that was right before the land in 2017. I was like, I would love that because the teleport is this. When you watch it, it's always the left hand. And it always pulls you through the portal. And so it was just like, that's where it is.
Wait,
And
one,
it was-
one
Company, this group
detail on
this,
the teleport from
Misfits.
Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say to be a part of this this group of misfits, and we really changed the shape of the game, and I am so proud to be a part of it in the little part that I did, because there are so many people on this call who are way
You can
better
say
than
it.
I
Number
am.
one. Number one.
But
Legends. I think you were
said-
going for
Drink-
legends.
legend.
that being
Hero.
Yeah,
said,
legends.
I am so happy and so humble to be a part of this project and to be, reminiscing and just hanging out with the old crew. It just feels so good to me, man.
Fuck yeah.
We're just missing the Indian
I love-
food.
I love that tattoo that you got. Like a couple of years ago, someone asked me what I did for a living, and I was having a hard time explaining it. And I was like, I don't know, man. I just make games that people get tattoos for, and it's stuck.
Right?
And
Did you make
that's what
some
I
Zelda
always
or
say
some,
now.
some? I don't know. I got like a bunch of Zelda tattoos.
Get one,
as well.
Jerry?
What?
Jerry, did you get one?
No. I say I just make games that other people get tattoos for.
Oh.
Because that's what that's.
Oh, I'm gonna go get a FASA tattoo like right now.
Yeah.
I think.
Do it.
All right,
Well,
let's
the
let's
FASA
start
thing,
the
Love you guys so much.
Lightning round.
Oh.
let's start the wind down to this. We've gone pretty long. Emerge, give us let's do like 2 more questions and then we'll call it.
What is everybody's
Focus on lightning.
What is
Lightning
everybody's favorite
yeah.
favorite ability?
Teleport.
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 Next question.
Resurrection.
Tree of life.
I'll just be. It's not
Teleport.
really, but I think Resurrection is the most interesting for the game mechanics and how much it changes. But teleport's obviously the most fun to use.
Well, I'm gonna help before Sage goes away. So having one person be a res on your other 3 teammates, say it's a 4v4, having one person be res of all 3, that changes a lot that you can push into something. It's so fun.
Michael
It
T,
is so much more than you
EXP.
think.
Another question that
you
we
get
had.
that discount if all the bodies are in one pile. They're all
And
same
you
price.
can keep going with karma.
Dust them over.
Another question that we had quite a few people ask in different kind of ways. Would any of you consider coming back to update the game if given the opportunity?
Can I take this question?
I would take a pay cut
Hell yeah.
for a porter.
Just do a show of hands and be
I
Are we
think,
getting the
uh,
game? Are we getting the?
I
band
would
back
take a
together?
pay cut.
And
lightning.
I think yes. It would be fantastic. Unreal Engine,
No Porter.
motherfucker.
Same engine, Porter.
Can it not
No.
be called Shadowrun? It's
Yeah.
it's just your game. that
Suck it
needs to
up,
be-
Porter.
Depending on
tools.
the engine.
I know that
Just saying
Unreal
that one of
Engine
the-
pretty well these days. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, let's go back to the old engine.
I am not going to argue with JM about debris anymore. It's not going to happen.
Hey, it was
Don't
you had
ever
800. You had
argue
a
with
total of
JM
800
ever.
debris. No,
Yeah.
he had 800 debris.
Total
800.
800. That's a big
in a
number.
slum. No, I think it'd be great. And then we just rename it from like Shadowrun to like, I don't know.
Whatever you want.
Light
Whatever we want.
Shadowrun.
Just
Shadowrun.
Shadowrun.
Katana teleport.
Shadowrun 2,
Teleport.
Shadow Harder.
On a red.
Chess
FASA
first-person
run.
shooter.
FASA run.
It's
Okay.
just chess
Except
first-person
FASA.
shooter
Shadow
with
Rock.
abilities and
Right, Steve?
Shadowrun.
Yeah, let's go, bro, dude. Let's
We
go.
got a new EP in the making. Thank you everybody for watching. Thanks you for tuning in. Thanks to all my friends from long ago that I love and miss for joining us today. Thanks to fucking everybody. Thanks to Cirrus and Emerge for organizing this. Fuck yeah. Thanks for streaming it.
Brothers, we are Shadowrun.
Everybody in here.
You put out a
DJ,
product.
David, Derek, Steve, Bill. I mean, like Sage. Are you kidding me right now? Like,
thanks to the audience. And
Porter,
players.
Jerry, everybody, Michael T, everybody. I just love you so much, JM. I'm glad you're happy on your retirement, but I would love to work with you guys again at any time and any day.
Thanks, Dan.
And with that, I think it's time to play the game. So what do we say when that happens?
Game on.
Send me an invite.
Game on. Game
I'll log on
on.
right now. Let's go.